So welcome back, and this is round 9 of the Southern League and Open, but it's also the Ian Gould's Memorial match. So we're at Eastney Beach today, and for a change we're fishing in daylight, so we start at 9 o'clock in the morning. You can probably see the absolutely clear blue sky, there's hardly any wind, it should be tropical, other than the fact that it's 5 degrees. It should warm up during the day. So what's the plan for today? Well, I wish I knew. Talking to people in the car park, they've all got their certain plans that they all know exactly what's going to happen, but none of them have got the same plan. So some of them think because it's been rough the last couple of days, they're going to get dogfish at distance. I don't think that's going to happen. The water is actually absolutely crystal clear. Other people are going to be fishing sort of 30 yards out. They think there's going to be golden greys. Some are going to pop it up. They think there's going to be gars. And then other people are looking at fishing 70, 80 yards because they think the best target is small bream. I personally think the small bream is going to be the best option. But everybody, you should have a plan and then stick to it. So what am I doing? Well, the thing I'm doing is not listening to my own advice. I've got 3 different rods set up and a whole bunch of different rigs, and I'm going to watch what's happening along the beach, see what's coming in, and I'm going to adjust. I might start off at that 20, 30 yards, see if there's anything popping around. I think because of that blow, maybe there'll be some small bass as well in close. But a golden grey would be absolutely great. Maybe some gurnards, some red mullet about. And then I've got other rigs. So I've got other rigs set up for that 70, 80 yards range for the bream. And then if things do get desperate, I can throw something out at distance and see what's out there. Probably still bream, but we'll see. So on the menu for today, we've got ragworm, maddies, blow lug, and then I've got squid and mackerel. So an hour in, it's difficult to know what to do. I haven't had a bite, and what's coming in up and down the beach is really mixed. I've seen a couple of garfish way up to my right. There's been a little flounder, there's been a little thornback ray, and one little bream. I've got guys fishing at distance, I've got guys fishing at 30 yards, I've got guys near me float fishing. I've tried sort of 70, 80 yards. I've now come in closer with a pop-up on a 2-metre snood, see if I can find one of these garfish. It's difficult to know what to do because there's not enough of any one species to say, yeah, that's definitely the thing to target. But it's an absolutely cracking day. The only thing that's getting in the way is the fishing. So there's my first ever red mullet. So at least I'm on the card. There's such a variety of fish coming in. Nothing in any big numbers, but just a huge variety. So first of all, I can't get a bite, and then two fish in 5 minutes. I'm fishing about 30 yards out with a 2 metre pop-up, which has got the garfish, and the red mullet took the bottom hook. So this scene is a bit longer than I would normally leave in, but I felt it showed two things. So first of all, you'll see just how long this snood is that or the rig is that I'm using. You can see that the lead in my hand when I'm trying to unhook the fish, and you can see, meters away from me is that little float or pop-up, we want to call it, that's on the top snood for the garfish. The second thing that this scene shows you is, if you want to call it, poor fishing, or at least demonstrating why match fishermen double pat, as in have more than one rig baited up at a time. And I would say that even if you're pleasure fishing, it's a good idea. I always do it. But in this particular case, because I had 3 fish so quickly, when I got the third fish in, I didn't have another rig baited up. So I had a choice. I could have just thrown the fish in the bucket and baited up the spare rig, which in hindsight is what I should have done. I didn't realise how long doing it the other way would take me. But what I do here is I unhook the fish, I then decide to bait up the rig that's already on the rod, and by the time I've done that and put it back out again, I've wasted between 2 and 3 minutes. Now, considering this period of the match was the most productive, I just caught 3 fish in a row. I didn't know I was going to do it, but I caught another fish the next cast. So I've wasted 3 minutes during the best part of the match. So, think about that. If you're not double patting and every time you cast out you lose 2 or 3 minutes, that's a lot of fishing time. Second hour and it's turned around for me a bit. And I don't think I'm going to do that brilliantly because there are people catching more fish, but that's my first ever red mullet, so I'm chuffed with that. And that's the first garfish I've caught in a match, so that's good as well. And then so it was 3 casts in a row I had fish, so that was the red mullet. 5 minutes later the gar, and then I've just had a tiny bass which was undersized. But compared to the first hour, that's a massive improvement. I really sort of starting to think I wasn't going to get a bite. When the garfish took, I got a slack line. I saw the rod tip drop back and the line went slack, and I looked out into the water and the garfish was jumping out of the water. So it's only a tiny bass, but this time it's just in. Almost rocketing along. 4 fish and 4 casts. I've got to be careful. Some people might start to think I know what I'm doing, which I don't. So that's 5 casts, 5 fish, another garfish. Right, so let's try and show you what I'm doing, but I think it's going to be a bit difficult. And I'm not saying I know what I'm doing, but something's working a little bit. So I've got a 3-metre rig body, and then on the very top of it, I've got a 2-metre snood attached, which has got that float on it, and then a tiny little size 8 hook with a little tiny bit of mackerel, and that's what's got the 2 garfish. And then come right down the snood, and then near the bottom I've got a 60cm snood coming off with some maddies on it. Is that any better? And then a tiny little 3-ounce lead on the bottom, which is a running there, and then just a standard ragworm on the bottom, and that standard ragworm is what's got the red mullet and the 2 little bass. So 3 hours in and it's gotten quiet again, but I'm not complaining. I had 5 fish in 5 casts in that sort of second hour going into the beginning of the third hour. So I don't think I've done that well. There's 2 hours left, but I don't think I've done that well. The 2 people to my left have both had rays, and the guy to my right's had quite a few garfish now. But this is a lot better than I was expecting. I'm not used to fishing the beach in daylight, and especially not when the water's crystal clear and it's really sunny. So I'm quite pleased with my results so far. I don't know if I said earlier, but it's a very small tide, which has meant bait's been a bit difficult to get. I dug my maddies yesterday, but really struggled to get anywhere near as many as I wanted because the tide just hardly went out. But it's also meant today there's not much tide. I normally sort of fish at distance and rely on the tide to hook the fish, but there's virtually no tide. The largest weight I've used today is a 4-ounce plain lead when I was hitting it out at 70, 80 yards. And fishing where I have been for the last couple of hours at maybe 30, 40 yards, I've only had a 3-ounce lead on. and it's not drifted at all. I thought it would bounce along, and it hasn't. But I haven't got anything smaller than a 3 ounce. $37, any? Yep, 37. But better than that. Ah, yeah, the fish. Right? 18. Yeah, 18. So 4 hours in, and it has been quiet the last hour. Dave next to me just had a little thornback, and I've just had a little tiny bream. But other than that, it's been very quiet. I haven't seen much caught along the beach. High tide was about 10:30, and it's now 1 o'clock, so gone down a bit. I've stopped using the long pop-up rig now. They're still quite long snoods, still a 2 metre rig with long snoods on it. See if there's some more breamers. That's the only thing I've had for the last hour and a half. See if I can find some more of them. So there's only 15 minutes to go, and it's been absolutely dead the last hour. Most of the fish seem to come over high water, so I've swapped just to see if I can find something skulking around. I've gone back to fishing quite close in, little tiny hooks, rod low, just see what's skulking around. If I can get another little bass or little eel, flounders, or something that's in that gutter. But I'm not really expecting it, so I'll let you. I'll bring you back if I do get something. But I'm quite happy. I've first ever red mullet. Enjoyed getting the gars. I've not caught garfish like that before. And four different species, 5 fish on the card. I've had worse days. So this should be the last of the slow matches, or maybe one more. But then we're into October, and can't believe I'm saying it, but I'm looking forward to the whiting and the dogfish being back. So actually that turned out to be quite a nice match for me. I thought it was going to be another slow one, fishing in the summer, during the day, crystal clear water. I thought that was going to be tough, and it certainly has been tough in previous years. And actually there were still some people that blanked. However, some people, and it wasn't something that we were expecting, some people managed to pick up a few rays. particularly Daz Newland got a few rays, which was, so it was good, and the variety of species was absolutely brilliant. I love it when we have a match when you've got so much variety. And a couple of new things for me. That red mullet was great. I'd have been happy going home if I just had that. And also fishing like that for gars. I've never done that before. So again, for me, it was a great result, considering I was doing things that I hadn't really fished very much in that sort of style before. I have caught garfish, but it's normally where I've been able to fluke fish into fairly deep water. So for the results of the match, in Zone A, which is where I fished, first was Eddie Green with £10.6, second Dan Mogridge with £9.15, third Russ Preston with £6.15, and I finished 10th in Zone, which is respectable. I think I'm quite happy with that. Zone B was won by Daz Newland with all of those rays I mentioned, with £29. Second, Lewis Punchard with 14.11. Lewis also had the largest round fish, which was a thornback ray of £11.14. And third in Zone B was Malcolm Stoke with £11.3. Heaviest flat was A.D. Groves with an 8-ounce place, and that would have done him very nicely because he'll have picked up the money that rolled over from the previous month as well. So I'm still sitting with a reasonable chance of finishing in the top 20, which is what I wanted. And overall, that was a good match. Really enjoyed that. So see you again next time. See if I can keep up with the others. So see you next time, and please remember to like and subscribe. I think it's that corner, but it could be that corner. I don't know. See you around.